but he knows that if he has to, he's not going to shy away from it, right? In the previous matches when we've seen him play with Earthquake against Graveyard, he has used it defensively, and it's actually a great option. It's something that will take the majority of those skellies out.
Good job with the snowball. Prevents the hog shot on the left-hand side, does KK. Triple elixir flowing, final 50 seconds on its way. And just a little bit of extra spell cycle here from the Egyptian Hog Rider in. Cannon cart high. No EQ this time. Does he snowball? So interesting. No bomb tower is what I meant to say this time. So the EQ doesn't get that shot. And KK is trying to find any way he can to conserve some elixir and get on offense. And here he goes. This feels like the last opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a risk he had to take. He knew it was most likely not going to hit if he snowballed it, but even if he did bomb tower, it just wasn't going to give him enough time to build a push, and it was going to be GG anyway. And Moonlight is just playing exceptional.
Yeah, perfectly played. And you know, we're talking about that throughout this entire tournament. He's definitely made it risky, definitely made it close a few times, but it feels like no one, and I'm not talking about this game in particular, but no one has outplayed bad situations more in this event so far than Mohamed Light.
Yeah. This one actually was the least close match I've seen from Mo this whole tournament. And even then, it wasn't that easy. It wasn't like a straight 100-0. But he's just been, today especially, like yesterday he had the perfect match. But today I've seen him on a level of concentration that's just beyond anything. And it's kind of what I saw from KK yesterday. Yesterday, I didn't think anyone could touch KK in this month's qualifier. But the way I'm seeing Mo play, and not only his decks, but every deck, every style of deck he's played, he's been mastering it.
Yeah, everywhere he's been phenomenal. So now KK back to the wall. Remember, this is an elimination game. The loser of this best of three is out, and the winner moves on to need to beat Mini one but twice. So KK now the one facing the possibility of going out earlier than he'd hoped. Of course, he's already made it up pretty high in the prize pool, made $1,000 for qualifying for the top 32 plus $6K at minimum here at this point. But when you get this close and you think about those points, right? We've seen how many points are being assigned, 100 points for the overall winner. KK certainly high up on the leaderboard. But, you know, if those of you who maybe have your app open, if you've checked the ladder stats right now, no big surprise here. Anaban at top of the ladder. So every single one of these points matter so much, especially when you keep in mind that some of these players are going to get top ladder placement almost every single month.
Yeah, you definitely have the Anabans, the Igors, right? That are always going to get that top 10 ladder finish, or at least they have been for the past 2 years. So I don't see why they wouldn't now. And all those points are going to matter, right? You do have limited spots. They are 8 months. And not only that, but we expect Anaban and Igor to make it to some of these finals, possibly even win some. So when they're not here, you need to secure points. You need to make sure you get through. And yes, an extra 4,000 is amazing. No one's complaining, but you want to fight for that big prize money at the World Finals.
Yeah, that's huge. Remember, that's $1.6 million for the overall year. And talking about ladder, those of you watching right now, you can be here next month. You can, of course, our ladder season ends in about 7 days. So get your push ready. Top 1,000 qualify for the Swiss bracket. The top 32 from that make it in to the prize pool, and the top 8 make it to broadcast. But every single win you get from making it to the top 1,000 and every single win you get from that point forward contributes to points that can put you in the world final. And talking about making a run for world final, Ice Wiz goes to the right, immediate hogs to the left-hand side. NATO to activate King Tower.
Yeah, and I like what I'm seeing here from both players. They're both using things that we wouldn't really expect, and we're actually seeing a bowler, which is amazing. This is actually the best case scenario if he wins this match, Rich. You are not going to use troops that would go into your comfort decks. This is so smart.
This is really interesting. This deck, of course, has been very popular in competitions before this event. In the Brent Chong Cup, too, it was big. And even in the All-Stars Cup that was back in December, the one that Mini Minter, our current leader, came in second place to against Brazil's Wallace. This deck was very popular there as well, but I do believe it's the first time that we're seeing it here in this top 8 weekend.
Yeah, definitely the first time we see it here. Like you said, it's actually super strong deck, especially when you're playing against a deck, you know, that has Huggies, and you're seeing yourself with a Baby Dragon, a Bowler, a Valk, a Nice Wizard, a NATO. You're definitely feeling okay when it comes to defenses, right?
Yeah, well, it's one of those interesting things where Mohamed has run Royal Hogs, I believe, twice so far in this event. So a great pick overall for KK to have this one prepped, and maybe just going, hey, I've been doing good research on overall what Mohamed Light's been running, and I don't know how often he's run this deck with that specific graveyard deck that he used in game number 1, but it feels like, or with the Hog Rider deck he used in game number 1, feels like a pretty good deck pick, maybe a bit of a snipe here. Yeah,
I think that comes to the point where, is it the fact that he's still on a team, right? Maybe that Faviz or Faith, I don't know how we say it in English, sorry. I'm so used to saying it in Spanish, but maybe they are providing a full staff, right? And that could help a lot. We could see a difference in that when it comes to deck analysis, the deck choices. Maybe he still has other teammates that are helping him, and what a freeze.
Yeah, what a freeze. Now, we're talking about how this feels like a good matchup overall for KK because of the Bowler, the Valk, the Ice Wiz, the NATO. There's so much splash. But the one big thing, and we're seeing the damage come in, it's so hard for him to actually control those Royal Hogs when they come in. And the split lane pressure has been giving Mohamed Light a pretty big advantage here in the first 3 minutes.
Yeah, it has been a little tough for him. I think the fact that he has to spend something on the flying machine every time does not help at all. Like, he's having to put that Infernal Dragon up high or a Baby Dragon, and it's causing him to lose a little control of the match. It's not as easy as it seems, but once he does pick up control with one good freeze, it's all over. We've seen it happen before. So many times. All he needs to do is be able to absorb a little bit of damage, but not too much, and then go on his own counter. And I think this is where we're going to start seeing it in Triple Elixir. It could get very, very tough. He can't defend this with recruits because of Valk and a Bowler on the same lane are pretty much going to disappear everything.
So here we go. Big push on the right-hand side. Full send here for Mohamed Light. Ice Wiz, Bowler, and Inferno Dragon all working. Damage does come in. Brawler gets one shot on the left-hand side, but now that's a lot of healthy troops in the right lane coming down for KK. Fireball value comes in, and they both try to make moves, but it does feel like KK might be coming out on top.
Yeah, actually, I think on that interaction, it ended up working a lot better for Light just because of the fact that he forced out the NATO, and now he doesn't have it defensively. He has to cycle all the way around, and that Fireball that came in from Light took away the only real way of killing the flying machine, which was that Inferno Dragon. So that was actually a very heads-up play. I obviously don't think it was him predicting that there was a NATO and everything. It just sometimes works that way, right?
So here we go. Freeze in on the right-hand side just to get that flying machine off. Not going to result in a ton of damage on tower, but does at least stop anything in the back end. Here we go. Final 20 seconds. And KK needs to make a move and make a move fast. Mohamed Light now 15 seconds away from getting to the end, from getting to that championship matchup. NATO on the left-hand side. Fireball on defense. Can a freeze get it to happen? But the Goblin Cage high. Inferno Dragon will go down. Freeze in, but that's a freeze on nothing. Wave it off. Call it over. Mohamed Light gets the win and moves on to our grand final.
Yeah, he's just so good at understanding where the game is at, right? When he can push, when to just full defend. And I think even though he had so many of these troops to defend, Mohamed Light never lost control of the match, right? Even if he wasn't getting that much damage in or any of these things, he always had control of where he wanted the match to go, the flow of it. And I think that's the main reason why he's won so many games today.
Yeah, we talked about that, right? And again, to use that same word, the macro of Mohamed has been phenomenal. Even when there's been, an interaction that didn't go exactly how he wanted, the understanding, as you say, of the flow has been huge. And it does feel like, KK was never able to get on the offensive. We never saw him play. We never saw him actually make a true offensive play. We saw the attempt with the freeze Inferno Dragon on the left, but easily the Electro Spirit cleaned it up, and there comes the Electro Spirit to make sure that does absolutely nothing. Just the entire time having to play defense, and you're waiting for that one big knockout blow. It never came.
Yeah, and it's also a little bit of, causing desperation. When you have such control of the game, you cause the other player to make pushes that he doesn't want, right? Or he force him out to use this freeze to try and get a little bit of damage. And that's what we saw. He used freeze 2 or 3 times, KK, where he didn't really get damage, but he was so forced to do it because he was playing Mohamed's game that it put him in a terrible situation to never actually be able to do a full-on push.
It was a tough one, and now a tough situation for Mohamed Light. He's made it to the top 2, but now he has to be a man who's playing almost like a man possessed here in Mini Minter. Mohamed Light's been flashy. He's made great calls, great plays, but Mini Minter has just been laser focused the entire way. And Mo has to win not just once, but twice because of that double elimination format. And it really feels like right now the ball's in Mini Minter's court.
Yeah, and I think it's fitting, right? Mini Minter wins in 2020. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that this year. For him, it's looking great, but it seems like this is just the year that he came to play, right? At the end of 2020, he really started gaining a lot of confidence. And this year, I've just seen him on a roll. Everything he enters, he's at the finals or close to the finals or winning the finals. And when you have a set up, I think it's time to take a little bit of risk, right? You can take a little risk. You can try to surprise Mo, maybe even go for a snipe in one of the games and see if you could pull it off. Worst case scenario, you play another best of 3 and you go more of your comfort.
Yeah, Mini Minter's deck pool has been pretty focused so far. Balloon, Electro Giant, Graveyard, and Royal Giant have been the 4 mainstays. Of course, a lot of those have been the mainstays of the tournament. Electro Giant is kind of the odd man out here, though. And one interesting fact about the Electro Giant, and we talked about this a little bit earlier in the broadcast, but Electro Giant has been played almost exclusively in Game 2 or Game 3. And same thing for Mini Minter, who's played it primarily in Game 2, Game 3. Why do you think that is? We talked about it earlier with Josh. I'm curious about your perspective.
I think, in my opinion, it's a deck that is very strong in certain matchups, but it's so bad in others, right? So my reasoning, or the way I would see it in a coaching standpoint, is that, okay, let me see what he uses first. Let me see what cards are out. And then if I feel that the majority of the matchups are going to be in my favor, I can go ahead and use it. But if the cards that go really well against that deck are still in, it's just not worth it. It's a deck that we've seen so many people use it and not even get close to the tower because of the defenses, right? With those goblin cages and just strong defense. So you want to have a little more control of the matchups that are coming in. It's a very matchup dependent deck.
So we'll see if Mini Minter in this final does take some risks here in the first one, try to go a little bit off of what you might expect. On the other side, you have coached many young, fast cycle mortar players. If you're in Mohamed's corner, what advice are you giving him right now for this final?
I just remind them that he can win any matchup. I think that's super important when you're playing these type of decks. The majority of the times, wall breakers will not have an 100-0 matchup, right? You're not running a lava. You're not running a golem where you're like, okay, if I just push from the back, I'm going to win this. But you have to remind them that they've won every single matchup that they've played. They've already won, and they've done it a lot of times. So no matter what you see, do not get desperate. You can always come back. Just relax, play your game, and this is yours.
So here we go. Mini Minter needs to win 2 games. All he has to do is win 2 games, and he has $20,000 and our first monthly championship. Mohamed Light has to win a total of 4, has to win this best of 3, and then win another best of 3. And it's Mini Minter going minor wall breakers here in game number 1.
Yeah, second time today we've seen someone use wall breakers against Light. It worked the first time, and it's a little bit of what I spoke about with Andrew earlier in the day, right? You're not always as good defending your deck as you are playing your deck.
And here we go. The miner to the right-hand side. Fisherman pulls it off. So it's going to be Royal Giant, Giant Skeleton here.
Yeah.
4 lights, some good Magic Archer chip on the left-hand side. But now that's a lot of elixir that he has to defend against.
Yeah, it's at what cost, right? Great job on that. But at what cost are you going to do this? And he's going to defend this even more, exactly, because if not, that Giant Skeleton was going to get on the tower. And now I think Mo Light is in a very good position. He doesn't have his bomb tower in cycle. He's not... Yeah, he's having to use so much to defend this.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting things. We saw LCOP do the same thing in CRO World Finals this year, or last year in 2020, where he played an early Magic Archer at the bridge to get some of that geometry, get that tower damage. But at that stage in the game, it does feel like early Magic Archers just for tower damage and to just put you in an elixir hole.
Yeah, that's a lot of Clash Royale, right? At what cost am I going to get this damage? And I think when you're playing so early into the game, it's a little risky to go that way. Not only because you don't know, what a nice King Tower activation with that Magic Archer pulling it from the Fisherman. And that is key when you're playing against a Wall Breakers deck.
Yeah, both Miner and Wall Breakers now going to struggle a bit more with that King Tower activated, going to reduce a lot of the damage here. And most importantly, it makes it very difficult now for Mini Minter to throw solo wall breakers without the miner.
Yeah, because before that, you couldn't just throw an Electro Spirit and take care of it, but now you can, right? It reduces the cost of defending so much. Not only are you going to get less damage from miners, but you can defend a lot easier and a lot less elixir, which gives you a lot better pushes. And when you're running such a heavy deck like this is, that's so key.
Couple shots from the Royal Giant on the left-hand side. You know, you see NATO, Bomb Tower, Log. The one issue here, it feels like for Mini Minter on the defensive side, is the lack of DPS, and is that close enough? Just outside of range, I believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Bomb Tower does not, or the Giant Skeleton Bomb does not hit tower, but the real concern right now for Mini Minter is this left-hand lane.
Yeah, it's not looking great, especially like you said, he has so many defenses. This is, oh no, he wasn't able to line it up because of how heavy that giant skelly body is. Yes, that's actually a mechanic of the game. I'm not just making something up. There is a density to the body which lets it not push. The hunter was not being able to go fully centered. And that's I think that's
it. Yeah, when you're wall breaker kiting to get the giant skeleton off your tower, that's where you know you're in a whole lot of trouble. Royal Giant going to shred the left-hand side. Yes, the Log will stave off the final blow for just an extra moment, but not that long. And Mohamed Light takes one step closer, gets that first all-important game win, and now the math for Mini Minter changes drastically because the risk situation, the risk factor here, he loses one more game, and we're all square. We're back to a single best-of-3 for the championship.
Yeah, and this is two sides of the coin, right? Now it's momentum completely on Mohamed Light's side if he does win this. And on the other side, if you're Mini's coach, which I know he works with a great staff, you need to remind him that just reset, mentally reset. It's one set. You've already done this so many times. You need to make sure that the momentum doesn't shift completely in the other way or he starts doubting the decisions. He needs to keep calm. He is in the winner's bracket still.
Yeah, the only other time that we saw Mini Minter run minor wall breakers was against Framcito, where, of course, he did end up losing that game as well. So interesting choice here against Mohamed Light. And Light does take the one-game win, or the one-game lead at the moment against Framcito in Game 2. I believe in that matchup, he either ran Lava Hound in Game number 2 or he ran Lumber Loon in Game number 2. Yeah. Do you feel like either of those are a good pick here?
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised we haven't seen people run Lava against Mohamed Light. It's such an obvious choice, in my opinion. Yeah, it might have not worked out in this specific situation, but when you go through the weekend, I think it would have procured a lot of good matchups for these players. And I wouldn't doubt the coaching staff and the analysis here to show us something of that sort. What I do like on the side of Mohamed Light is that he didn't use the cards that are his comfort, right? He won a game, and he still has everything he likes to use open, which is key for him. I think it's something that he's been doing better as this tournament progresses.
So here we go. Game number 2. Does Mini Minter pull the trigger on the Lava Hound or go with something a little bit more central to the matchups he's gone with? And of course, Balloon is something he has enjoyed. Played it 3 times so far in the tournament, twice against Framcito in 2 different matches and once against Richard earlier on. So we'll see if he goes that direction. Did play Minor Loon against Richard earlier in this weekend, so he won't be seeing Minor, obviously. And slowing down a bit. So could it be Lava Hound? We saw Light do the same thing. Maybe he's going Graveyard here in game number 2 and an oops out of Mohamed Light. Oh, no.
I hope it's not. Yeah.
Do you think that he put the same card back in his deck?
Yeah, he did. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Yeah, especially when you have all that momentum, right? Like you're feeling good. You just came off back-to-back wins and you started off 1-0. That definitely hurts. But this is where you see, right, the mental strength of a player. It's not all about the gameplay in these tournaments. Mistakes happen. They do. It happens to a lot of people, and this is where we're going to see it.
I think he might have just I don't know if he played the exact same deck or just put I was put an Earthquake back in there one more time. But yeah, he comes in and made a huge mental error. And Eric, that could be a $10,000 mistake on the part of Mohamed Light.
Yeah, it definitely makes me feel a little bit better when I lose on ladder and I know there's not $10,000 at stake, right? But that is that is tough. That is very, very tough. What you have to do, though, is just move on. You played so well that first game. Nothing has changed. Yeah, it's 1-1, but the gameplay is still there. Today has been your day. No one has been playing as good as you have, and you have to remember that. Yes, it sucks. You were up 1-0. Nothing you could do now. Reset. make sure your deck does not have any of the cards and get back in there.
Now, here's the interesting question from a strategy perspective. Do you think Mini Minter made a mistake once he saw the EQ activate King Tower? I know that you want to end the game and not have us sit here for 5 minutes while the game plays out, but did he make a mistake showing his hand and giving all that card information, deck information to his opponent here?
Yeah, it's definitely what he could have just done is obviously played a Zappies on the right, got enough damage for it to like win the game, because you don't want to lose the game with that earthquake on King Tower the end, even though it wouldn't have mattered, and just sat there. Yeah, it's not great for us, but like you said, at the end of the day, it's not what's great for me and you, it's what's great for Mini. He's the one playing for 20,000. He's the one playing for these monthly finals. So I think you're right on there, but at the end of the day, with the level they're playing at, and I think they already have kind of their mindset on what they're ready to use, I don't think it'll make the biggest difference. I really want to see where how Mohamed Light recovers from this, because it is a shift. We just spoke about momentum right before this, and now it's going completely the other way.
Yeah, I'm actually need to get a clarification here for a moment, because I didn't prepare for anyone making that error at this level. I honestly didn't. And what I don't remember is whether or not Mini Minter is allowed to reuse the cards that he'd used in that deck for game number 2. Right? We didn't actually play a game. It's kind of a wash. So I'm going to see if I can get a clarification on that from League Ops. And they're working on getting that clarification right now. But man, you talk about having a team behind him, having support behind him. Obviously, it's Mohamed who presses play at the end of the day. But you almost feel like in a situation like this one, you want to have a system of checks and balances in place to work with your entire coaching staff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those things that as time goes on, you will see more and more, right? I'm pretty sure we'll never see another mistake from Mohamed Light like this again. He's going to triple, quadruple, everything check. Another aspect that we spoke about before, not on live, but we spoke about it in private, you could make these decks in the clan war part that doesn't let you repeat a card, right? And just make sure that nothing's repeated. There's a lot of different things that go on. There's a lot of things going on in Mohamed Light's head, right? You're focused on the game. You're focused on so many things that it might happen, but I don't think it'll happen ever again. He's gonna be making sure.
Yeah, well, I wonder if it was that he repeated a card, and we didn't see the entire deck, right? Yeah. I wonder if it's that if he repeated a card or forgot to switch decks. Just forgot to switch from deck slot 1 to deck slot 2, because we didn't see the rest of those pieces. So a lot of questions abound in this position, and of course you do have to get him to reset. On the other side of it, you have Mini Minter, who a free win. Does a free win here, does it give you more confidence, or how do you even process that perspective? Obviously, now it's nice to get the win and be 1 win away from the monthly championship. But yeah, how do you even process that from his perspective?
I think this is more of a hit on Mohamed Light than it is a boost on Mini Minter. Mini Minter's he still knows he didn't win the first game, but it gives him breathing room, right? So he's just now it's a relaxing factor. Like, okay, it's 1-1. I can go out, win 1 game is all I have to do, and I take it home. If not, I still have the other set. He's being able to breathe more. This is a bigger hit on Mo Light, who had that 1-0 advantage, had the momentum, was feeling good, and knows he has to win another set, right? So now he has his back against the wall, and if he does win this, he's going to another set because he's coming from that lower bracket. I think Mini, all this does is just give him more breathing room.
Yeah, I mean, obviously breathing room is certainly helpful, and has to just win that one more to win the overall championship. But if he doesn't here, it feels like one of those ones where we're about to see a huge emotional swing, right? Because Mini's probably feeling a little bit better right now. If Mo comes back and wins in game number 3, I feel like that momentum carries right on in to the rematch here.
Yeah, this is one of those things where, like, if he does win this, it's even more of momentum than if he won 2-0, because now he's like, oh, I lost that, but like, really, this could have been a 3-0. I'm going all in. And we've seen it. Depending on the player, we've seen that type of attitude. I got to deal with it. I had very, very competitive players, right? You've seen Surgical when he gets down. You've seen Igor, all this. When stuff like this happens, it only motivates them more. We haven't seen Mo Light that much play throughout the year, so I don't really know what type of player it is, but this is going to be great. This is going to show us more of his character. It's going to be able to give us more insight into what type of player he is, and it could be for a great story.
Well, so far, we've seen some pretty solid mental toughness from him. The number of times we've seen him lose game number 1 and bounce back, or beat down and fight his way through. So just one more big picture situation for the young player out of Egypt to navigate. But navigating it on this moment, on this stage, with this many people watching, it's going to be a real challenge. And we are confirming now that it is all tied up 1-1. Of course, that's what we were assuming, but we are getting the confirmation of league operations. They are tied up. So we're going to be going to game number 3 here in just one moment. Now, we did see Royal Hogs as the choice from Mini Minter that he had made to go in with game number 2. What do you think about that choice? And then what do you think that does for his choices for game number 3?
Yeah, I don't mind the choice against Molite. What I do think is it was a bit risky. We know that Earthquake was out, so Fireball was definitely one of the 2 spells that was going to be used, and Mo does use a lot of Bomb Tower as well. He likes all these decks, so I don't know how well it would have gone, but to be honest, Mini could just be taking risks in this first set, like we spoke about earlier. You don't really lose anything, so I would like to see Mini try something else, something new that he hasn't used yet, or go something more of the heavy side, like a Lava or even a Golem, right? You don't really expect a Golem ever out of Mini, but it has been a good choice in the deck itself. I'm not saying they've won with it because Molite has played perfect defense, but the deck itself has been a good choice.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where you feel like you make the right choice, but Muhammad Light's played his way out of those corners a couple of times. I do really like the Lava choice here. Now, against Mo, especially knowing that Fireball is still in the mix, we've seen most players playing the Barbarians version of Lava Miner. Yeah. And of course, Miner no longer available for Mini Minter after playing Miner Wall Breakers in game number 1. So is there some other variant of Lava that you think makes sense here, knowing that Miner's not available for Mini Minter and that Fireball's a very likely choice here from his opponent?
Yeah, you don't have to go in with a Miner version. You could even make something newer, use the ability of these duels to really catch them by surprise. You could even use a Fireball bait version, right? We've seen a lot of the Skelly Dragons being used. You could put in the Barbs as well, and you could put in a Flying Machine just to create, all right, where am I going to use this Fireball, right? And if he does use one of those cycle decks, we've seen them struggle so much against the Flying Machines. It's so hard to get rid of them, that if you have the Barbs and you have the Skelly Dragons, and on top of that, you can create some pressure with the Flying Machine, it could actually work out very well. You don't need the Miner to actually be able to play Lava.
Now, Mo has only used ground spells so far out of the Earthquake and Barb Barrel, meaning conceptually, not knowing what the league operations are talking about in terms of how the deck selection works at this point, but conceptually, that means a lot of air spells that hit air are still in the mix. Is Lava Clone here too big of a risk, or is Lava Clone with that Flying Machine something that maybe is a fun choice?
I mean, I can tell you that I've played Lava Clone for 2.5 years and I haven't pulled it out in the past 6 months. So personally, I wouldn't go that route. But what I do like is that, yeah, there are spells that hit air and the snowball and all this. That's why I wouldn't recommend going a straight Loon, right? Mini has used a lot of Loon where that is very affected by those spells. But when you go Lava, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, snowball, it affects the pups. But when you're building these pushes with the Flying Machine and the Dragons and everything, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, so that's, you don't want to go Loon specifically. What about Lava Loon here?
Yeah, I love that choice. I love a good Lava Loon. Like you said, he doesn't have Miner, so it's even a good option in the sense that you will have that added pressure, right? You don't have the Miner to tank for the Loon, but you do have the Lava, so it's okay. I love the variation right now of Lava Loon that has Miner, but I've seen it being played without it, and it's still, all you need is that one connection.
Yeah, one big connection can change everything. Talking about changing everything, Eric, this is the kickoff weekend of Clash Royale League 2021, the first season ever that it's open to anybody. So how do you guys watching at home get involved in the action? Well, 7 more days are left in this February ladder season, and every single month, the top 1,000 ladder players qualify for Clash Royale League. They all move on to a series of Swiss format brackets where the top 32, is that the right number? Top 32 from those Swiss format brackets, top 8 from each, make it to the prize pool and move on to the next stage. And then, of course, the top 8 left make it to the weekend stage. So if you're watching right now and you believe you're as good as the players you're watching, put your money where your mouth is and win part of $1.6 million. You could be here next weekend. And Eric, to someone who's never pushed up into the top 1,000 ladder before, any advice? You've coached some of the best ladder players in the game.
Yeah, when it's just about putting in the hours, right? First of all, yeah, you have to be good. Let's be honest. You can't just put in the hours and not be good. But if you create a consistent schedule for yourself to be pushing every day and not leave it till the end, that's going to be key. Only very, very few select players, like we've seen Mugi in the past. Mugi's sitting at 4,500 trophies with 1 day left, and then he finishes in the top 10. But the majority of us, we're not going to win 45 straight games. So my biggest advice is, ever since the season starts, yeah, it's not as exciting because you're not fighting for the top spots, but put in 1 to 2 hours even at the beginning, just so you don't fall behind, and then you don't put all this pressure on yourself and causing you to possibly tilt or all this towards the end. So just try to position yourself early in the season, mid-season, and everything, so that you can just play relaxed at the end. Secure a top 1,000 spot. Unless you're going for the top 10, you don't need to finish, right? You don't need to finish 100th. You don't need to finish anything other than just top 1,000. Get in the bracket and then figure it out.
Get in the game, and we'll be into the next game in a few minutes. First, let's go ahead and take a quick break with a look behind the scenes here at my studio for CRL 2021. CRL 2021 is finally here, and usually you see me in a big, beautiful studio, but this year, coming to you from Mi Casa, I'm Rich Slayton. Let me show you around. This is how we clash. Well, I am in Austin, Texas. My family, we came here from LA back in October, planned to stay here for 3 months, and then ended up just staying. But this is the third bedroom in this little 900 square foot house, and I've turned it into my production studio. I have a 5-foot wide folding table, and on it you have a main computer set up, a second screen set up next to it, and then my iPad set up below for spectating and for gameplay stuff. All of that runs through. The camera right here is my new camera that I'm very excited about. Look at how quickly it refocuses. Boom. That's pretty fun, right? Some of the things that you have to have as a caster, of course, 2 main things, right? Number 1, you got to wet your whistle. So I have the water bottle ready here to go at all times. And then, of course, when I started doing play-by-play commentary, my boss came up and handed me a bag of these special cough drops and said, take these, you'll thank me later. They help out a whole lot. These are an essential for anyone who's working in broadcast, in my opinion. Baby boy Slayton sleeps literally a wall through here. So I have my University of Texas blanket that is around the door to help dampen some sound, plus some curtains that I bought to help not just with dampening sound to the other room, but also keeping the sound in here from bouncing around too much. I have my own lights. Luckily, I have very, very high quality lights that get the fill and the key on both sides of my face, and the broadcast headset through a sound mixer. I have the cool mic that Supercell gave me. If you know me, you know I'm obsessed with sunglasses, and I have my whole sunglass collection right here next to me on the desk. If the room's on fire and there's one thing coming with me, it's absolutely no question. It's the sunglasses. I'd leave the camera, I'd leave the computers, I'd leave the custom chessboard that my wife bought me. It's a handmade chessboard. None of that's coming with me. Well, there's a few things you have to figure out when you're working from home. The number one thing you can't replicate is being next to your co-caster. So we kind of have to do some workarounds, whether it's sending quick DMs or texts, or muting myself and saying something to him, whatever it might be. The good thing about myself and Andrew was we've cast so many matches together, right? We started together in 2018. It's 2021 now. So I know his audio patterns, he knows my audio rhythms, and we've got this dance down pretty nicely. There's so much weird stuff going on in here that makes it work. And that's the big thing, is that this isn't my normal home studio. This is what I've made work for the moment, and it works really well. Thanks y'all for joining me for this tour through my little workspace. Hope you enjoyed it and learned me some things, maybe. I don't know. Saw behind the scenes of Clash Royale League. It's been fun. I'm Rich Slayton, and this has been How We Clash. Well, there you go. In case you missed it yesterday, another look at the behind the scenes. And yes, I will double down on that statement, Eric. If this room was on fire, it's the Sunnies coming with me.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone has their things, right? I have a computer, all this stuff, but I'm taking my Pokemon cards. So everyone has what they like. You take your sunglasses, I'm taking my Pokemon cards. No one judge us, and we're running out of the room.
If you haven't already, follow Eric at EB7 on Twitter and go ahead and check out his Twitch streams where occasionally I think you do some unpacking, maybe get a good pull here and there. So, and of course, you can follow me at Rich Slayton on all different social medias. And don't forget to follow at Esports Royale EN to stay along with all the action here. And if you haven't yet here on YouTube or if you're on Twitch, go ahead, hit subscribe, hit follow, ring your bell, turn on notifications, make sure you never miss a moment of the action because we are here every single month with these big time moments, these big time plays, and of course following up with the qualifiers. And maybe you're here next month. So we did get word that there's going to be a replay of game number 2. We're trying to get the exact information as to why it's going to be a replay. But as soon as we get that information, we'll share it with you guys as well. So, Eric, I mean, obviously for both these players, a lot of back and forth emotions, a lot of back and forth trouble. And man, this is kind of a challenge here on both sides. How do you get the player and get them to reset for a moment like this?
Yeah, we spoke about momentum shift, I think 3 times already, and this is a whole nother type of momentum shift. Now Mo is again excited about the fact that it did not cost him a game. Like we said, we're still waiting on confirmation on why exactly it's a rematch. So as soon as we know, we will let you guys know. But this is a huge break for Mo.
Yeah, a huge break indeed. And we're getting us a little bit more information on exactly what happened from a league operations perspective. And as I said, we'll get it to you as quickly as we have it. And it is Mini Minter splitting with the Zappies in the back and Archer split here for Mohammed. So very likely here that Mo is going with Hog Rider, Hog Triple Spell. And interesting with the Royal Recruits split here for Mini Minter. So is he just running that Royal Hogs deck again?
Yeah, he could have been repeating here, and this is actually not bad for Mo. Like, we've seen him defend a lot harder things with this type of deck. What it is going to cause a little trouble is that Flying Machine. It's always going to force out a Fireball. He doesn't have any other troops for it, right? You could play Archers, but it's not going to be easy at all. You have to time them perfectly. So I think the Fireball is going to be dedicated strictly to the Flying Machine.
Flying Machine, of course, can be an absolute menace, so that makes perfect sense here. Royal Hogs to the left-hand side, and there you go, Bomb Tower high.
Yeah, that log is like he threw it right as he put the Royal Hogs on the left, and it's just like, oh, if I would have waited a half a second more, I wouldn't have had to put down that Bomb Tower, right? That log and that snowball would have been enough, probably. He would have absorbed a couple of hits, but it would have been okay with him. Even though he's still well positioned here, it didn't really cost him anything. It's just one of those things where it's like, just a half a second difference.
And of course, we're gonna have some context on this here in just a minute. But you talk about deck picks in this situation. Mohammed Light going with Hog Triple Spell, of course, playing Earthquake in game number 1, that he couldn't play it in game number 2, but has to be happy. Oh, and a missed Fireball on a Flying Machine. That could be absolutely devastating here.
Yeah, and that emote has never depicted better any feelings that someone has other than when that happens. What he expected is that Flying Machine was going to move forward after killing the Archer, but it actually had enough range on it to lock onto the Knight, and that's why it did not move. He was expecting it to move. He kind of predicted the movement, and it just didn't happen, and that hurts.
So just as I was saying that a great situation for Mo playing the Triple Spell with Fireball rather than with EQ in this specific matchup.
Yeah.
A bit of a Fireball issue, and now it feels like momentum shifting heavily towards Mini Minter.
Yeah, he still can win this match. It's not easy at all, but that hurts a lot because you did have the spell you wanted for this matchup. It actually was a pretty smart pick by him. I don't know if he expected to see the Hoggies again from Mini or not, but when you lose control of the match in such a hard way where you are the cycle deck, you are the one that needs to control the pace and everything, it puts you on your back foot, right? It puts you in a position where you never want to be.
So here we go, Bomb Tower sitting up in the middle as we are in sudden death overtime. It's 1484 to 2270 lead right now for Mini Minter, and finally Hog Rider does come out to the right-hand lane.
Yeah, the Hog is not going to get absolutely anywhere with once the recruits are down and the cage, but this is going to be a matter of cycle until I can outcycle you and then get some damage. The problem is how much damage is already done on Light's Tower. Usually when you're playing these decks, it's a lot closer of a match, right? So you're not really worried about the Hog getting there because if you just cycle quick enough, you will get enough damage to win. That snowball was beautiful to get that Goblin further back and actually get a hit, but he's going to need a lot more of those.
So here we go, Brawler to the left-hand side, 3-3 split with the Royal recruits. Hog Rider on the left-hand side, Fireball to try to knock it back a little bit. Snowball in, creates some big, huge room here, and that Hog Rider going hog wild on the left-hand side.
Wow, what a play. The only thing that he has for him right now, Mini, is the fact that he can't cycle as quickly because it's not EQ, but that was such a nice play by him. All the spells were used to perfection. All of them gave him an extra hog hit, and that's what he has to do here. He needs to cycle quickly to a Fireball before this gets dangerous. Very, very nicely played there. And he's taking control of this match slowly.
Here we go. Final 30 seconds approaching. Snowball does not get the Brawler. Zappies do hold the line there for the Hog Rider. Now the Fireball does come out, and this one not going to miss a flying machine. Fireball opposite direction. Here we go. Which Hog? Is it the Hog Rider or the Royal Hogs that get it done?
Yeah.
And that's going to be a GG. Mohammed Light gets the Hog Rider on tower. No, the cage does pull it back, and no shot. Final 8 seconds, but there is no way here for Mini Minter to get back in this one, and that's going to be a 2-0 sweep for Mohammed Light. We're going to run it back and go to a best of 3 for our monthly championship.
Yeah, the way Mo brought that back was absolutely insane. It was that one sequence where the log hit not only the recruits, but also the Electro Spirit. And then at the same time, the Snowball knocked everything back while the Knight was also tanking for the tower. So it was just one sequence that got 4 hog hits and put him right where he wanted. Just so well played.
And to cover a little bit about what happened beforehand with the first edition of game number 2, there was an issue with the administration in terms of starting the deck at the match at the correct time with the correct decks. And so because of an administration error, they chose to not penalize Mohammed Light and replay game number 2 rather than give him an automatic loss, as there had been a mistake on their side. So that's why we replayed it, and that's why Mohammed Light was able to recover here and go on and play in game number 2, get the win. So that's the main thing. We replayed the game, not an automatic loss for Mohammed Light, and that, of course, worked out very well for him, and maybe exceptionally well. You know, I'm wondering, I'm really wondering about Mini Minter going with the same deck, maybe some mind games there. And again, I don't know what the deck selection process was there, but it does feel like going back in with that same deck that Mohammed Light had a fairly easy choice for him in that situation. Yeah,
it could be that, or also the fact that maybe Mini wasn't willing to show more decks in case he did lose this, and he wanted to save it for this next bracket, this next match, that now it's game time, right? This is it. No second lives for anyone. Elimination time. We're getting to the exciting game, and I want to see not only what Mo is going to bring, but let's really get into the analysis. Mini Minter, you have one of the best teams with you in terms of staff that you've worked with for so long, right? He has his coach Carlatas, a team that really know each other and has always done well. And I think this is where he takes that advantage over Mo Light. I think the gameplay I've seen has been a little bit better from Mo, but the analysis has been a little bit better from Mini.
Yeah, but I mean, you talk about analysis there, and you know, it's the same thing you were talking about, where maybe he didn't want to reveal decks for this matchup, and maybe he felt like, hey, if I play anything different in game number 2 and I win, then game number 3, I either have to choose this or choose something that might be a bad matchup. So maybe he just thought, hey, I'll take a risk and double down. Yeah. So, you know, it's hard to make some of those choices, but that's the importance, the value of having a staff. And, you know, Eric, you've been a part of a Clash Royale League staff for a long time, and you've seen a variety of different staffing styles, right? From the very hands-on that you had to the big staff of Team Queso to some smaller staffs from other teams that kind of let the players operate on their own. I mean, where do you think how much is too much and how much is just right?
Yeah, I think that it's a very fine line of giving them the choice, but putting them in the best position to make the right choice, right? You want to give them the game plan. Here it is. Let me give you the blueprint, and you have these 3 options, right? Go this way, this way, or this way. You're going to make the choice, but I'm going to set you up for success. I personally am not of the fan of you're going to play this, because they're the ones playing it. We're here for a reason, and we're not the ones playing for a reason. They know what they're doing. At the end of the day, they need to feel comfortable, but we've seen all the styles work, right? Like you said, I'm very hands-on with the team. I like to be in every decision. I like to be there in the huddles and everything. And it's worked. It's won a world championship, but we've also seen Queso with the big staff style. They won a world championship. So it's really what each player needs and how they feel comfortable.
Well, so far, you got to imagine that they've been comfortable up to this point, but neither one of them have really been here. You know, you talk about the accolades that both have achieved, winning in big moments, but I think there's no bigger one for either one of them, except for maybe Mini Minter, who faced a fairly similar situation in the All-Stars final against Wallace, where he was the one who had battled back. He did have to go ahead and play a super grand final, a second matchup against Wallace for everything. So you got to wonder how much that pressure benefits him, whereas Mohamed Light, he did play in CRL East for a season, but it does feel like the spotlight has never shone brighter on him than this exact moment.
Yeah, I think Mo has that experience, the pressure from ladder also as well. But Rich, you can play. I've played so many tournaments. I've played so many different competitions. CRL is CRL. You can play the All-Stars. You can play the Brent Jogs. You can play the No Tilts. Once it's game time, once it's CRL, you're on the official channels. You're playing for a World Finals. Nothing compares.
And so here we go. The final match of the weekend. A $10,000 best of 3. Second place takes $10K, but double that for first place. And of course, take home that 100 points that will take you one step closer to our world final at the end of the year. So a lot on this one, a lot of mental focus needed to relax here. And it's a big one indeed. You know, you talk about playing for money, you talk about playing in front of people, you talk about playing online, you talk about playing on camera here, all that happening right now for these two. Best of 3. Mohamed Light, top of your screen, Mini Minter at the bottom. Let's go.
Yeah, this is it. I'm so excited. I love elimination games. I spoke about it before. And yeah, I was hyped about that last one, but this is where I've been waiting for the whole day, right? This is where I want to see surprises. I want to see comfort decks. I want to see a mixture of everything, and I'm so excited for this. I want and we're coming in with minors straight away from Mo Light. He's saying, you want to see surprises? Not right now.
Minor wall breakers, and the wall breakers both get on through and take the zappies off the board. Mini Minter in a world of hurt, and just 45 seconds passed.
Yeah, this is Mo Light being Mo Light, right? I'm just going to casually throw a knight here, a little minor, and let me add on 2 wall breakers that are going to connect because I know exactly how to play this deck. Not the start you wanted, but this is one of those decks that could create a lot of pressure on the bottom from Mini. He could still make it up. All we know is that he does have that Bar Barrel and Electro Spirit should be able to stop the wall breakers whenever he can, whenever he does place them. So he could still win this. It is a lot of damage that he took, but look at all the damage that he's going to take here.
Oh, man, look at that. Fisherman doing some extra assist work, and just like that, Mini Minter back in the lead, down on Elixir at the moment, and a nice protection miner. And the cannon cart connects for Mohamed Light, and you give the wow. Probably everyone watching gives the wow. Mini Minter gives 2 of them, and that is a huge blow struck by Light early on.
Yeah, can I get that replay sent to my email so I can watch it all night, please? That was insane. I've actually never seen that play where the miner actually pushes it a little bit to the far side and it doesn't get distracted. That was nuts. I don't know if it was on purpose, if it worked out well or not, but if it was, that was the play of the weekend, no doubt.
Bar Barrel aggressive at the bridge, not going to do anything other than take those Spirit Goblins off the board. And again, a miner to protect the cannon card. So we're seeing a rhythm here and a good fireball to get the zappies off the board, but this could push through and create some problems.
Yeah, the reason of that miner was more of I'm predicting your Fisherman. I don't want you to take away my biggest DPS apart from the Hunter onto your RG, which is very smart, right? He already knows that the game is set as long as he defends. He doesn't need to really have anything else connect. He has a log, he has a fireball, and he has a miner. So that tower is basically done. He could even fireball this if he wanted to. Yep, there it comes in. And that's basically the tower. Now, can you defend? You have 16 seconds here. I'm assuming we're going to see a log. Yeah, there it is. And I don't know if it's enough.
EQ comes in. Fireball will finish things off. And Mohamed Light is now 1 game away from winning our February tournament and taking 100 points and $20,000 back home to his family.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a whole bunch of golden chairs if this finishes off the way it started on this set. And Mo Light has put on a clinic today. Since game 1, since the first game that I casted today, it's just been Mo Light, Mo Light, Mo Light everywhere.
And there's that opening moment, the huge opening blow that seemed like the most significant play of the game until this. The miner in front, the cannon cart bumps out to the outside, and absolute brilliance. And just to add insult to injury, another wall breaker connection. So pretty much perfect play from Mohamed Light. And now again, all he needs to do is win one game to take home this February championship. And it just feels like he's unstoppable right now.
Yeah, and I can't stop laughing when you said that add insult to injury when that one single wall breaker, because it wasn't both. It was just that one wall breaker going up to the tower and being like, yeah, that play was great. And I'm going to hit the tower and I'm going to leave it in spell damage. That is worst case scenario. But that play was, look, he deserved to take that tower after a play like that.
Yeah, I mean, did you talk about this one? That's got to be play of the weekend overall, not just the mechanics of it, but the moment of it, right? You talk about some of those big plays, and it's not just did you pull this off, it's where and how and when. And doing that right now in the grand final of our opening weekend, absolutely huge play. So on Mohamed Light's side, we open up with minor wall breakers, and then the Royal Giant Skeleton Earthquake deck out of Mini Minter's side. Choices here at this point. What do we do?
Yeah, I think the advantage that Mohamed Light has here is that now Mini doesn't really know what Mohamed Light's going to play, right? Because the other decks that Mohamed Light has shown were minor Earthquake, but he doesn't have minor anymore. It was this Wall Breakers deck. So basically most comfort decks are gone. Now it's more of a, what is he going to play? And if Mo can come in with a surprise that he's actually comfortable with, this could play into his advantage. Mini has no idea here what Mo can play.
Yeah, no idea at all. And the cannon cart does create an interesting challenge here, though.
Yeah.
Because cannon cart's been central to Graveyard. Does this mean that Graveyard's probably off the board for Mohamed Light, or do you think it's likely that he has a more traditional, sort of old school, classic Splash Yard style deck maybe up his sleeve?
I think it's pretty much out of the question, or at least the strongest versions, right? What we've seen works in this meta, in these balances and everything, are those cannon cart Graveyard, because you create the pressure, especially that mortar version is so strong. And when you don't have that, I just wouldn't risk it. I think there's a lot of other options that you could roll with, such as Royal Giant, a Lava, something along those sorts that you still have all the fundamental elements of the deck, then risk it.
And now, again, we're back to that same situation where Lava Hound does feel like a good call for Mini Minter after what we've seen so far and what we've seen from Mohamed Light. So we're going to have our next game coming here in just a little bit, but you got to imagine the pressure for Mini Minter. This is going to be so brutal for him to match number one to go the way that it did, and then match number two. He's been here when you're in a situation where just a couple of months ago he was facing the same moment, right, against Wallace. How much do those flashbacks come in? How much are you thinking about what happened before versus able to stay in the moment?
Yeah, those flashbacks, look, they're inevitable. We're all humans, right? None of these people are 40 years old, have lived through it all. They've have Michael Jordan careers. No, we are humans. We're kids still. The majority of the people competing, and it's impossible to really not get those thoughts in everything. But can he fight through it? That's what starts building that competitive character and that CRL experience. These are the moments that could turn everything around. If he does win this, all he needs is that one game, right? I'm not saying you have to go and start thinking about winning the match, but that one game to build that confidence back, to say, look, I can beat Mo, I can take a game from him. I think that's enough.
So we'll have to only speculate as to what sort of breathing exercises these guys are going through right now to calm those fingers, to keep them from shaking too much. And they're just moments away from playing a very, very important game. Of course, a reminder one more time, this is the second half of our grand final. It was Mini Minter with a match to give. Mohamed Light won the first one 2-0 with a little bit of mischief going on there at some point. And then now here we are. It's Mohamed Light with match point, with tournament point, and a chance to win that February final. Mini Minter needs to win 2 in a row. But as you said, you got to win the one in front of you first.
Yeah, game by game. Let's take it easy. Let's relax. You win one, and then it's even playing field, right? It's one game decides it all. Yeah, just one simple 3 to 5 minute game for $10,000 extra. And on top of that, these are two players that play top ladder, right? So winning one of these could almost start securing you that world finals stage. because you're going to rack up those points. These are players that we're going to see in all these brackets and most likely do well. So that difference in points for winning, yeah, it's $10,000, but that could also almost put you in that world final spot.
It's so difficult to think about, the pressure here because, look at the 8 players that we've had over the course of this weekend, right? Mini Minter, Yuya, KK, Ruben, Richard. Some of these players you expect you might see back here, but all these players will make top 1,000 ladder every single month. There's almost no question about it. But getting to the top 8, that's such a hard road. It's not impossible that this is the only appearance that these 8 players make in the top 8.
Yeah, especially not only top 8, but the finals of a top 8, right? When we were talking about players, look who's not here, right? Mugi's not here. Morden's not here. So, like, those players are probably going to fit in somewhere. And that means other players are not going to make it. So, securing these extra points is key.
Mugi, Morton, Samuel. Talk about some of
Lucas,
those.
All these players.
Igor. Yeah, there's so many talented top-tier ladder players. And a lot of the players, like a lot of big-name pros made it to that top 32 and didn't break on through. You have the world champion and 5-time CRL East/China champion, Elsiop, who got deep into that top 32, right? So you think of all the players who got very, very close. Any of them could make it here. And take a look at this matchup, Eric. Minor Loon against Archer's Snowball Inferno Tower. My word.
Yeah, this comes a little bit into play. Remember when I said you have no idea what Molite is going to play? This is exactly that. Who would have expected an Inferno Tower deck? In a finals, when no one's using Inferno Tower, it's just, it played against him. You cannot expect that. I'm sorry. It doesn't matter how much analysis you do. It's so hard to see this coming.
This is going to be really, really difficult for Mini Minter. I mean, nice ways to catch those miners, so you're not going to get a ton of miner chip. You have to outplay those skeletons, archers, and of course the Valkyrie as well. But then between the delivery, Snowball, Inferno Tower, it just feels like getting that balloon on tower is going to require a mistake from Mohamed Light rather than an outplay on Mini Minter's side.
Yeah, and the way that Mohamed Light's been defending all weekend long, I just don't see it happening. It's going to have to be something really, really out of the ordinary, a weird misclick on the Inferno Tower that doesn't pull the loon. But even if it doesn't pull the loon, you can redirect it with the Snowball. It's just so hard. And we've seen a lot of loon decks that outcycle what they're playing, right? But when you look at the other side, how are you going to outcycle him with the archers, with the skellies, with the Snowball? It's not possible.
Now, here is the one factor, and you just saw it come in. Didn't pay off in that situation, but you did just see it come in. Not often used in this era of Minor Loon, but was for a long time the combination. Zap. How much of a role, how much of an advantage could that play here? Mini Minter can zap off skeletons that pick up miners and can reset that Inferno Tower.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing to have, but we also didn't see that it even forced out a Snowball, right? So in the worst case, I'm pretty sure Molite is going to have that Snowball clicked on in case of a zap, in case of a retarget. And I just see there's so many tools, right? The archers, every time they pass the bridge, you're going to see a Royal delivery. It's tough. And he's going to need to stop that. Did not redirect the Valk, and it's not looking great.
Yeah, you see the move he was going for. Fireball, I mean, Mini's tilted. Fireball didn't even hit the Valkyrie there. You saw what he was going for, trying to pull the Valk and get the separation. Didn't happen. And this just feels like it's starting to pile on worse and worse for the Peruvian American.
Yeah, every push is harder. Every push is more out of cycle from Mini, and it's just pretty much going a little bit downhill here. The archers are even connecting. Everything that can go wrong is going wrong on that end, and on the other end, everything that can go right is going right.
Oh, what a perfect prediction with the miner on the Inferno Tower. Can Mini Minter get the bomb tower down? He does. Snowball does reset, and that's not going to be in bomb tower death and bomb death range. So a perfect look at that. A perfect play from Mini Minter on both sides of the board, and he still can't even get death damage on tower.
Yeah, he needs to be careful here because he didn't have enough elixir, but he did force him to defend, which was key because it didn't let him have a fireball for the archers after the Inferno Tower. And at the end of the day, this is just a matter of time. If that Hawk does get that one hit, which it will right here, that is GG. Rich, we have a champion.
Mohamed Light plays perfect Clash Royale. plays some of the best that we've seen competitively. I mean, look, we've seen, I'm not going to say he's best in the world right now. I think that there are other players who still hold that crown. But in terms of a one weekend performance, there are few that I think I've seen that measure up to what Mohamed Light did throughout this tournament.
Yeah, I spoke about it the first day. This is one of the people that I love to watch, one of those players that I expected in the finals. I just didn't know that I was going to get this level of gameplay, right? Everything that we spoke about from him, and I think what's really impressive about him is that his defenses are what makes me the most excited about watching him, right? Generally, when you're talking Clash, you love those offensive flashy plays, but when it comes to Molite, I think every time we saw him play, he showed us that it doesn't matter what you come with. I can defend anything.
He defended exceptionally well and, of course, did have those flashy plays with the cannon cart minor in the right-hand lane. And look at this. This was exactly what he needed to do. That whole sequence on the right-hand side was exactly what okay, this is how you try to get those towers, how to get past that Inferno Tower, but just couldn't do it. And what's interesting about Mohamed Light is you put all three important factors of the game, and they all came together this weekend for him. He had excellent micro and put together some brilliant interactions. His overall macro, his ability to contend with the game, to understand how to play each matchup was brilliant. And in big moments, he made great deck selection. He played, and then the fourth piece is he was able to outplay with some bad matchups as well. So you put those four things together, micro, macro, good deck selection, and outplay when you have a bad matchup. Yeah. That's how you win $20,000.
Yeah, simple, right? 3 easy steps. but yeah, no, he deserves it. Honestly, it's one of those that you can't see that anyone else in this bracket played better than him. He genuinely deserves this. He fought through that losers bracket. We saw the mental toughness just coming out. How many games did he play today? 4 games. I think 4 different matches he played, which in a duels format is so hard. You can't repeat the decks over and over again. Really, I'm just super excited about this. So happy for him. And
and pretty solid deck variants overall as well, not to mention changes on the fly. So Mohamed Light goes ahead and takes down your first February championship. And looking at all the prizes people are taking down for this weekend, again, it's a second place here for Mini Minter, but not the worst second place, taking home $10,000 and a ton of points towards that world championship. But those seconds have to be starting to grind on Mini Minter as time goes on. $20,000 and 100 points towards our world final for Mohamed Light, who, as I mentioned earlier in the day, is currently in the top 10 on ladder right now. So a great day and a great weekend for Mohamed Light. And again, take a look at the current competitive leaderboard.
Look
and
at that top.
I mean, yeah, absolutely wild. Take a look at that, Eric.
Yeah, that's such a nice thing to see, right? The 2 finalists are actually tied in points. And like you said before, Mo Light is in the top 10. Mini Minter will probably be fighting that as well on the ladder. And KK, Yuya, Lion, Ruben, Hajim, and Richard all over 100 already. And these are all players that do very well on ladder. So this is where those points start coming into play. They're going to keep accumulating this every month. And on the other side, some big names that we're missing in the top 8, right? JP, Anavan, Elsiab, Lucas, Samuel. So I'm excited. Every month is going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it's so crazy because, again, you think about the amount of talent in Clash Royale overall. We could see some of these players. It feels like right now, if you make 2 finals weekends, that you've pretty much guaranteed yourself a spot in that world final.
Yeah, especially when you're one of the top ladder players, like Mo Light is, right? Mo Light is someone that I think has so many top 10 finishes to where, okay, I just won this. As long as I can consistently place in that top 10 on ladder, and then obviously he might not make it to the top 8, but if he can accumulate points from those top 32s, he's pretty much in my opinion. And that's huge.
That's absolutely massive. And for those of you who are making those top 1,000 moments, of course, every single game win matters. And that's why you see some of those players who just got their ladder finish, a high ladder finish, weights heavily every game win inside of those Swiss brackets. If you realize that you're not going to make it in the Swiss bracket, you've lost your first 4, still play out the rest of your matches because that's 5 points each game. And, you put those things together and it's going to be a tight race here for the end. And talking about tight races, no one made it tighter than Mohamed Light. Yeah. We saw a lot of great games from him today. What is your favorite game on the day from our champion?
On the day would have to be that one with the cannon cart that we just saw. That game was so well played. On the weekend, it has to be the Hog versus Golem. I cannot get over the way he defended. I remember a specific moment in that match where he got a earthquake snowball log onto a night witch and it still had like half health, and I was like, there's no way he's defending this, Rich. He just wasted 3 spells and the witch is halfway still alive. And the defenses and the way that he pressured was just, I don't know, it was my favorite game of the weekend.
Yeah, king of defense, and of course, very interesting, varied deck selection as well from Mohamed Light. Is there someone else here who stood out to you on the weekend as really impressive, who you're excited about their future as we go into our next CRL weekend?
Yeah, it has to be Mini, right? This is the first time he plays CRL. He's been someone that's been so close every season. And to come in your first CRL and make that winner's bracket run against such strong opponents. We saw KK dominate on day 1 and Mini came in and beat him, send him to that lower bracket. I would be really proud of myself if I'm Mini. I know he wants to win. It's hard for anyone to process a second place, especially coming from the winner's bracket, but it's his first ever CRL, Rich, and he really impressed me.
Yeah, I think he impressed all of us. So we'll see if he's back here again next weekend. And to make sure that you're back here again next weekend, don't forget to subscribe to this channel here on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Make sure you have your notifications on so that you never miss a moment and you are back for every part of Clash Royale League. And of course, the trophy race is on right now. 7 days left in the February season. You make that top 1,000. You get invited to that Swiss tournament. Make it through there to the top 32. You're in the prize pool. Make it to the top 8, and you could be here next weekend, or not next weekend, next month, when we're back with yet another monthly final. So go ahead and get your push started right now, as Eric said earlier, and make sure that you are ready for this weekend. And of course, there's Clash Royale all the time. At the end of this week, there will be some excellent end of ladder season streams. Our co-caster, Joshua AC Sharon, often does have his streams on Twitch. I know that you often stream end of season stuff as well for ladder. And then, of course, 2 weeks after that, the Swiss brackets take place on a lot of our channels as well. So every single weekend, pretty much, there's great action that relates to Clash Royale League. So make sure you come out for it. Eric, any final thoughts on the day before we wrap our first 2021 weekend?
No, I'm sending a message now to Molite, see where I can get myself a golden chair, and maybe I'm gonna leave the casting booth and join this top 8 next time with my golden chair. But no, I had such a blast. It was my first weekend casting, and I don't think I could have asked for better matches, better co-casters. It was an absolute pleasure, and thank you for leading the way for me, and thanks for everyone that tuned in. It was so much fun.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you were great. Thanks as well to the rest of our team, Joshua, AC, Akrap, Sharon, and of course, my brother from another mother, Andrew Guy. On behalf of everyone here, that's Eric Benamou. I'm Rich Slayton. We'll see you back here next month for another edition of the Clash Royale League Monthly Finals.